Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu has warned that the ongoing war will end only with the eradication of what he is now describing as the new Nazis. Now, Hamas has rubbished the proposal that's been put forth by the beleaguered Netanyahu. Now, Hamas has refused any kind of a deal till Israel agrees for a permanent ceasefire and ceases its offensive. The mediators such as Qatar, Egypt and the United States are looking to convince Hamas for a one-month truce and a partial hostage release, which will then be followed by an end to the war. However, Hamas has also expressed doubts, seeking guarantees for a permanent ceasefire before the release of hostages.
This is a war on our home. It must end, and it will end with the eradication of the aggression and evil of the new Nazis. Those who attacked, kidnapped, raped and murdered brought upon himself unprecedented destruction with his own hands.
Israel's proposed agreement is part of a multi-phase deal by Prime Minister Netanyahu that includes the release of all remaining captives. Now, Qatari and Egyptian mediators have conveyed the terms of the truce to Hamas. Now, Israel's proposal for this truce, or rather a temporary military pause, comes amidst mounting domestic pressure on the country's wartime government to bring the hostages back home. Now, the government is also facing an internal rift over its handling of the war in the Gaza Strip. And according to reports, the truce deal could take place in stages. It will first see the release of women and men about the age of 60, and it will also require medical assistance. The next stage will involve the release of Israeli soldiers and civilians and bodies of the dead captives. Meanwhile, the assault on Gaza continues unabated. Now, Hamas has said the death toll has crossed the 25,700 mark, and at least about 63,700 Palestinians have been grievously wounded or maimed or mutilated. Now, Hamas has said that at least about 210 Palestinians have been killed in just the last 24 hours in the campaign of Israeli bombing. The fresh evacuation orders have been issued for a section of Khan Yunis. This after the Israeli military encircled the southern city, a designated safe zone for the Palestinians. And according to Gaza's health ministry, the partially functioning hospitals in Khan Yunis are now reeling under extreme danger from Israeli bombardment. The ministry has also flagged the threat over the Al Nasser Medical Complex and the Al Amal Hospital. The World Food Programme has also warned that the Gazans are facing catastrophic food insecurity. On Tuesday, the Palestinian and Israeli ambassadors to the United Nations clashed over the issue of a ceasefire. The United Nations chief Antonio Guterres continued to press for the release of Israeli hostages.
There are only two paths ahead. One that starts with Palestinian freedom and leads to shared peace and security in our region, or one that continues denying this freedom and dooms our region to further bloodshed and endless conflict.
So as diplomatic parleys continue, the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi was welcomed by his Turkish counterpart, who is in the country for talks aimed at preventing the spillover of the Israel-Hamas war and also for ironing out the past differences. The talks have earlier been delayed twice. Violence also flared up in the West Bank. On Wednesday, Israeli forces destroyed the home of a Palestinian accused of killing 4 Israelis in the month of June. Now, the Iran-backed Lebanese group Hezbollah has claimed that it has hit the Israeli airbase of Mount Meron for the second time in the month. The group has also released a video calling the attack as a retaliation for the Israeli attacks on Lebanon and Syria. And also our correspondent Jody Cohen has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Israel. Let's in fact listen in.
According to reports, Hamas and Israel have broadly agreed to key principles of a hostage release deal. These would include a 1-month pause in the fighting, the early release of a number of Palestinian security prisoners, and the freeing of a number of Israeli hostages. However, there has been no agreement at this stage. That's because, according to several sources, Hamas would like to negotiate a package deal, agreeing the future conditions of a permanent ceasefire. Israel would prefer a phased approach and has said that leaving Hamas in Gaza is something that Israel can't accept, as Hamas has said it is planning more 7th of October-style massacres against Israel. In the latest, an Israeli official has said that there has been no breakthrough in the negotiations and that they will take time. In the meantime, mediation efforts continue. This is Jodie Cohen for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.